Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Zulu podcast. We got a lot of people in here today. I didn't know what I was doing. I was inviting everybody. I was so damn excited to do this. And I was like, ooh, you can come. You can come. You can come. And I didn't have enough microphones. So we got a couple of people sharing. We got a couple makeshift things. We got a couple of people not showing up yet. But we're getting into it. Two-time guest now, returning for the 2 times in 1 week. Kelvin is back with us. Then we got Nick the Great, who's a regular contributor. Welcome back, Nick.
What's up?
We got CJ, the other great, villain to Nick or something. Y'all remember episode 50. It was a hooting good time, right? And then we got a couple newbies, right? We got Kim. Say what's up, Kim.
Hey.
Okay, Kim's new, so she don't know how the vibe yet. Then we got Tanya. What's up, Tanya?
Hola.
And then, well, there we go, right? We're mixing up languages. So tonight's episode, something like, Council of Culture, right? It's just, I like, 2 C's on it, So, the other day when we was talking with Kelvin, he mentioned about, wanting to do another episode immediately. And I was like, yo, that's dope. Sure, what did you have in mind? And he was like, yo, let's talk about diversity and things like that and culture within the Navy, the diversity within the Navy, and how we as minorities, which technically everyone looking at me funny, I'm not, right? Right, everyone? Right, I'm not. Most would be over here classifying me in the privilege section. Right, but then people get real confused when they be actually looking at me. They see Joshua Warren, they're this privileged motherfucker, and then they see me and they're like, oh, confusion, right? So we're gonna talk about that and with different things related to it, experiences, overcomes, and all kinds of good stuff. So, Kelvin, I'm gonna kick it over to you so you could kind of kick us off of what you think and about the diversity within the Navy and whatnot. And guys, if you're watching on YouTube, we are streaming this live on YouTube. Chat, if you got questions or situations, drop them in the chat. We'll answer them. We don't have Kelvin on the screen, unfortunately, but maybe next time. Go ahead, Kelvin.
No, so I think this is something that's been near and dear to my heart recently. Obviously, as you guys may not be able to see, I'm a black man, warrant officer, and I've now been a couple places where I've been the senior minority. And that has meant a lot to me. That is something that I undertook that has meant a lot to me. First, for a young sailor to have a face of a minority, whether that be woman, whether that be culturally, whether that be based on sexual orientation, somebody that they can see and kind of manifest their dreams. They can see that, hey, this person, that is something that I can achieve even, and I don't want to use race as a negative, but in this company, in my race. And that is something that's been major to me, and that's something I've undertaken. But I also think that we all can understand that sometimes being a minority in this business can be looked at as a negative, especially when you look at leadership in the Navy at the higher levels and you don't see many people that may be women, that may be minority racially. And really it's kind of, how do we continue to combat that? How do we continue to move up? How do we continue to reach our young sailors and tell them that, yes, you can make it when they're not really seeing minorities at those higher levels in the Navy?
Who wants to go first?
What was the question?
No, there's no question. Just talk.
Yeah, just open.
Everyone nervous. Is it all right? So
nervous. I don't necessarily have an answer to the question that I heard as far as how we do it. I think the United States is kind of unique. It's almost like an experiment for the world of a mix of all these different cultures to come together. So I think that races, whether we want to admit it or not, is always going to be a factor because there's not really another nation in the world that is a melting pot like the United States. And the military that we serve in, we welcome all. You don't even have to be a citizen to join the U.S. Navy. So I kind of liken it to sexual assault, things like that, where we can talk about it and train on it. And that's pretty much the first line of defense against issues with race. You know what I'm saying? Because we train on sexual assault all the time, right? But guess what? 40,000 recruits graduate every year from boot camp. You know what I'm saying? And statistically, somewhat of 20% of those are going to be assailants. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
So do you feel that the diversity is just it's something we gotta deal with, and we I think of it like this: we should be dealing with it in a positive manner and not a negative manner, right? The negative aspects of it are out there. We know they're out there. There's not much you can do about it, right? About the negative parts, right? Like you said, if there's 40,000 recruits coming through, there's a percentage of them that don't like other people for the basic reason of skin color or fucking shape of their eyes or the fucking other nation that they're from, or, because they've never met that motherfucker before, right? So, as leaders, everyone sitting here at the table, right? Do you focus more on that negativity of it and what society out there, and we all know what's going on in fucking the world, right? In America, right? Do you focus more on that and trying to answer those questions, or within the Navy, do you just try to answer the positive or answer everything outside of the lifelines with positivity inside the Navy? Because obviously, some of the people here are affected by things outside the lifelines, right? You can't bring that to work. Everyone says, that kind of shit, right?
Right.
So how do you answer that at work?
Um,
Well, I'll kick this up. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm not trying to. It's Nick, but I ain't trying to be. I ain't trying to be like long winded. I can relate your question to what I really went through. So real quick, I'm a former I'm a LS, former SK. So being in supply on the West Coast, you run into the Mafia. And I just remember as a young sailor how they manipulated certain situations in my division. Like they used to let me go. They used to let me off early, right? Like 12, 1300. Oh, yeah, you SKSN, you good, man, right? So I'm thinking, I'm young, so I'm ignorant. So I'm thinking like, okay, cool. Not ignorant, but I am ignorant. I'm cool, I'm off. But what they were doing was they was getting me out the way. They would go to lunch together. My second classes, they would take the third class that was with me as well, and they would go to lunch together. And then they would come back, and they would show him everything in our supply. That's the system we work on. So over time, he knowing how to do stuff, I'm not. They're not saying, McClare, you can't do it, because they know I can't because I wasn't shown that.
Yeah.
So I always had jobs like go turn over parts on the pier or DCPO, stuff like that. So as I started catching on and seeing what was going on, I just always promised myself, like, if I make it, when I become that, I'm not going to do that. So then you fast forward some odd years later, now I'm LPO and I got mixed division. Filipinos, African Americans, white, Asian American, it doesn't matter. So I just remember how that made me feel and made sure that I did the opposite with them.
Don't cut nobody early for work. Keep them there till 1600. Right?
Yeah.
Fuck the bullshit. But like joking, but like
Yeah.
everyone stay here at work and learn. Really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something, I had another brother that's going to try to make it. Me and Nikki was talking about this earlier before we started, right? In doing the podcast before the podcast, right? And, and even me and Kelvin during the weekend was talking about that. Something that often comes up with the quote unquote mafia, which I don't like using that term, right? Everyone knows my wife is Filipina, right? Everyone knows that my father-in-law is a retired mass chief, right?
I didn't know that.
You stupid. So, I think it's like derogatory, right? Just like when after the mafioso days of the 20s and 30s, when Italian Americans had the bad stigma during the 60s and 70s, moving to Vegas, you could watch the movies and everything, right? And then, if you're Italian American, then obviously, like, there's this thing about you, right? That, you're related to it, you're Italian, so you must be this. And you could take that with any culture, any ethnicity, right? and in the Navy, it happens to be attached to Filipinos. But something that is good or bad, I don't know how to say it, but is so everyone will run around and be like, oh yeah, Filipino mafia, but then nobody does anything about this so-called mafia that they see or don't see. Why is that?
Let me, because I think there's a couple good points there. The first thing is obviously the Navy is very diverse, and that's something that we all have to deal with. I grew up in an all Black community. I've dealt with cultures and races that I normally wouldn't deal with coming from where I'm from. I think there are some things that are very positive about, and I know, we say it as a derogatory thing, or I know you classified it as derogatory, but I think every other culture kind of has a little bit of respect for, what we'll quote unquote call the mafia, because they have at its essence, what they've said is we're going to take care of our people. Now, I also agree that they've sometimes done this, and this is where I guess we could put a negative spin on that. They've sometimes done that at the detriment of maybe other cultures. But I think every culture can pick up a little piece and say, again, me as a Black man, I can say that maybe there's some way that I can reach maybe junior sailor, who I'm an IT, but this guy's a seaman, but maybe we have similar experiences, and I can reach him maybe even better than his own divisional leadership, because I can reach him on that cultural level because we've been through or experienced some of the same things. And I think that is where the mafia is a positive. And I wish, again, to an extent that, and again, I'm going to speak from Black people, I wish that we did that a little bit better.
I hear that a lot, if I can interject real quick. And I understand what you're saying, bro. But I think that Black Americans face, so their situation is unique to any and every ethnicity in the world. You know what I'm saying? Black Americans are literally the only people they don't have. We have to create our own culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have a heritage per se because it was robbed from us. We don't have our own language.
Or you're taken away from it.
Robbed. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Yeah. So the reason I say
I
that,
say taken away because like
it's
literally
important,
removed from it.
The reason I say it's important is you take any other ethnicity on the planet and you remove them from their home and put them somewhere else, and they migrate together. They're going to come back together because they have a common, heritage.
Yeah.
That they connect with. You take a brother like myself from Texas, and someone from Ohio, and someone from, I don't know where you from, bro.
He from Ohio too. Fuck, here we
Is
go.
he? Well,
yeah.
I'm from Ohio. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, East Coast, West Coast, Southern, Midwest, everyone has grown up in their own little bubbles, So the connection for Black Americans, it's not easy to. It's more difficult, And I'm not giving us an excuse. It's a tragedy what happened to Black Americans, but I think it's overlooked. People just say, "Well, why don't you guys just get your shit together?" Essentially, and I don't feel that's what you were saying, bro. But I'm saying that's what I hear a lot, because I do think it's admirable that we see other races be able to help each other out like that, and I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing if there's a line that they, as long as they don't cross certain boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, I know, Nick, you're part of this group that we're part of,
right,
called the Conglomerate. Bro, I don't know if you're part of it. What's his name?
You talking about the Facebook
Kelvin.
group?
Yeah, Kelvin.
He in there.
Yeah, okay. You in there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Yes.
that is a minor step. Nah, Nick, you're not invited, bro. I mean, Josh. But that's a small step towards trying to, uplift each other up. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's something that is oftentimes overlooked. You know what I mean? And it's hard for anyone outside of Black culture to understand that truly.
In front of the mic, Tanya. You pull it down.
I think we can learn a lot from the mafia. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. And then, like, Black community, Hispanic community, if we did it in the Navy, then go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not mad at them for it, but when they start backstabbing and stepping on toes and doing dumb shit like that, oh, no cursing? Dumb stuff like that, yes or no?
Yes,
we
cursing.
cut them off.
We're adults here.
then that's when I have a problem with it, you know. But I don't see anything wrong with it, especially because in my career, I think I was told that I wasn't gonna do this and I wasn't gonna go nowhere. Now, were they gonna say that to the white seamen or to the white second class? You know what I'm saying? No, they treat us a certain way because we are or were the minority. So I agree with Kelvin. I don't know why. Sorry, we get the name messed up.
All of them, all of them, all of
All
them
of
are
them.
fine.
I mean, I agree with you. We can learn from it. I don't think there's any. Why aren't we doing it? Answer me that. Or are we doing it and I don't know
Yeah.
nothing
So
about?
Josh.
so the other part is, and I know I focused on black males because that is what I am, but you can really take this across any minority set, whether that be women. You know, I don't see, and mind you, I'm not a woman, so please, if I'm speaking out of turn, I know we have two women on the set, they can correct me, but I don't see necessarily women uplifting each other to the same level that, again, the mafia is, or and again, you can kind of take this across any group set that in which we would consider a minority and say that, hey, to me, in a lot of ways, the mafia has it right, and I wish minority sets looked out for each other in that same way.
Well, because women are petty. So most women are petty. So, and they're gonna do that. But
Hey, but y'all got Facebook groups like Chief Chicks and all this other stuff. But you know what? In all honesty, did I say that right? Chick Chiefs, yeah. And but in all honesty, from my understanding, from conversations I've had with females that are in the mess, they tell me like a lot of information has come across through Facebook groups like that everyone else wasn't necessarily aware of, or like there's networking going on within the female chiefs. At least I can't speak for all pay grades and associations, but am I wrong?
no, you're wrong. You're not wrong. There is and not all of them are like that. And
Yeah.
we do like we can all eat. We want to see each other grow. Especially if I see like if I have a female CO, I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
with a male CO, but you don't really see a female CMC, a female CO, or female XO, whatever the case is. But there is some like those. That's how I stay on there, because they do give out some information. A lot of my mentors are on there, but a lot of when they start with the bullshit and the pettiness, like I don't even pay. I don't entertain it. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And I trust first, so I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? Until you cross me, and then we have a problem. I'm like, oh, okay, you're one of those. Now, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because we all have our flaws. I'm not the perfect friend, the perfect chief, or the perfect female, period, or whatever the case is. But when it comes to, like loyalty and respect, like it's a no-brainer, you know?
So, if I may interject some trolley, right? Would part of the focus or part of the problem be is too much focus on all of that? And from here on, let's not call them the mafia anymore, 'cause I really don't like that term. They're just Filipinos. Like, we know what it is, right? So they're just Filipinos, right? Again, it'd be like if you put La M on fucking, the Hispanics or something, right? Like we don't have to classify them as a group like that. We know that they're the Filipinos, and we know how some of them are and how a lot of them are not, just like with other groups of people, right? So 2 questions, like, is there too much focus on diversity? And the second of it, going back to what we're kind of talking about, was like, why can't other ethnicities do it?
In my opinion, the reason why there's not enough focus on diversity is because part of the military is history and heritage. So when you go back, not even,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? 30, 40, 50 years ago, not for all you history buffs, not 50 years ago, but,
Yeah.
not so long ago, I could only be a certain rate.
Yep.
Me and CJ, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We could eat at a certain place. So, and we were still called names or
Yep.
only these jobs were available to us. So diversity and unit cohesion with the diversity is important when you start speaking history.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, when we start talking about 1893 and all this other kind of stuff, it's cool. However, you know what was going on in 1893? for people that look like me. So I'm not screaming 1893 at the top of my lungs, or you know what I'm saying. I'm real picky about and selective about where I choose to celebrate history. You know, I'm more inclined to celebrate women's heritage, women's month.
I celebrate women.
Right. Over, you know, something from the past when myself, women, and Filipinos and whoever else didn't look like the poster sailor.
Yeah.
How we were treated. You see what I'm saying?
And no, that's a perfect point, because when you bring that stuff up, you know, it wasn't just blacks.
Right. It's everybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah, Filipinos.
Yes.
You know, fucking females. Yeah, females, yes, but also Vietnamese, right? Right. So, like, they were like, hey, you can't do this job. You do this job. That's your job.
Right. But I can't speak for Vietnamese, or I can only speak through what I face.
Right. Yeah.
And what I've seen in the military, maybe CJ, maybe Kelvin. Hey, Kelvin, where you from?
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, I'm from Toledo. All right. But what I would say is I've seen an experience where a white sailor would, or a white male would be more helpful to a female Hispanic or Vietnamese, just a female sailor in general, vice helping me, a black man.
Right.
So I understand, you know what I'm saying, when they say, you're right, like everybody. It wasn't just blacks, it was everybody. But and let's be real, at the time, what was the population? Like, was there Filipinos like that in the military back then?
Well, I mean, it depends on when you say back then, but
Talking about back in the days where
60s and 70s, yeah, but not
Right.
too many further back then.
not
back
too many
past
further.
that.
Right. So that's why that rubs me wrong. And when we say, I just want to tell you about the when you say you don't like the term mafia, right? I get it. But when you're a sailor and you and your brother, not your real brother, but your best friend who looks like you and identifies like the same circumstances as you, when a Filipino sailor fails a PRT and he's given an EP, and we all know that you can't get an EP if you failed a PRT.
Yeah.
And he advances over you two. Yeah, that's the mafia, because that's who made that happen.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I totally get it. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So I think one of the biggest things, one of your first questions was, do we focus too much on diversity? You got to remember that we're still in a majority-driven workplace, because we still have not had a minority CNO. We have had, and I don't know what the current McPon is, and I'm not trying to no disrespect meant to him, but we've had one minority McPon. We have not had a female in either one of those. We've only had, I think, one female 4-star. I am on a ship right now that has one minority department head, and that's to include the CO, XO, and CMC. You rarely see minority flag officers. So the diversity conversation can never, well, I'm not going to say can never end, but I think it is very prominent in the Navy right now. It is very prominent. So I don't think it's something that we should shy away from, because the celebration and understanding of our diversity is what I think makes us so great.
Right. And I'm not saying don't celebrate diversity. I'm just asking, is there sometimes too much focus on diversity, right? Because if we're always focused on how different we are and all the different backgrounds and all that all the time, how can we ever focus in on what brings us together?
Right, and I think there is a fair balance. I think at the end of the day, what we all have to recognize is we are probably, in terms of U.S. history, and I'm not saying this to say we're the greatest place, but we are probably at the place right now in U.S. history where we are the most celebratory of diversity at any time in U.S. history, right? We've had a black president. I think we've now to include sexual orientation and things of that nature. But I don't think that means we've made it. We've arrived. The conversation needs to end. Again, I don't know where that line is, but I think this is a conversation that needs to continue.
Yeah, I don't think that it's too much because, like you said, we have how many sailors going through boot camp? 40K. So they grew up with a racist parent, probably. So
Well, at least one or a few or 100, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
when they join the Navy and they come from wherever they came from, that's probably their first experience. Like I know a couple people that have told me that the first time they ever shared a bathroom with a black person was in boot camp. When they joined the Navy. So
Well, I can say that too.
yeah, but I'm
I
saying
didn't do sports. Like
right.
I didn't
but
do fucking public showers.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But
But
you
that's
went to-
why I
it's
think they
different.
keep diversity, like it's an annual training or whatever. They
yeah.
do.
Again, like I'm not saying stop anything, right? I'm not saying stop. I'm saying is sometimes there's too much focus and we don't focus. Like, where's the bring us together training,
Yeah.
right? Where's the the unit cohesion training? Because if it's all we're ever
You
doing
said,
is
when are we talking about positive?
huh? When the positive,
When are
yeah,
you're asking,
Oh.
got you.
yeah. Because and diversity isn't negative. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if it's always a celebration of individual groups or individual people or something, right? Then how can we celebrate us, here in the Navy together, right? Kim, do you have anything to say?
I do. I'm waiting. I don't.
No, well, yeah, go. Just jump in. Go ahead.
Come through, Kim.
I'm still brainstorming.
This is
So
probably the most serious conversation I've ever had.
Come through, Kim.
I think y'all are taking a real. Yes, it's a serious conversation,
I
but
love it.
I tell people I could play both sides of the fence. Okay, so I'm very comfortable in talking about anything, right? I don't give a fuck. Kim,
yep, Josh. I see your point. The amount of, I guess, training is what you're saying. Inclusivity is that the
Yeah,
word?
I think so.
The training where it's like, okay, this month it's Asian Pacific Islander month, and then you have separate months for everything else. I'm thinking about, like, when are we all embracing our different cultures? I guess that's the way we do it. Like, every month is we celebrate this heritage, this culture. I guess that's the Navy's way of focusing on differences.
okay.
Right?
What are you looking for?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
No, I'm not looking. Y'all know I'm not looking for anything. I'm just looking for the call. Like, I'm not looking for anything. I'm just asking. Is there ever if there's 12 celebrations a year for 12 different special groups, is that finally enough, or do we need to start splitting months like Hispanic Heritage Month? And I know it's because of certain dates and stuff. Right, right. You don't even get a whole month. You get 30 days. You get 30 days, not a month. There's only 12, and we get 30 days. Okay, and I don't mean we. I mean the Hispanics. Like Tanya.
Black people only get 28.
That's true, but it's still a month. It's February. Y'all got February. We can't even say we can't even say we got September.
May.
Not, you got May?
I got May.
Okay. So see, but is 12 months enough to get everything done? And then when is it Navy month? Like, when are we celebrating Navy month?
In November, when it's
October?
Go Army beat, go Navy.
No,
beat
October
Army.
13th.
You see, when it, all right, touche. Nick got it. When it's Go Navy beat Army. You're right. And sometimes it's November, sometimes it's December, right?
What I feel like is Navy month is or Navy Day is when every day. Not to say and listen, I am anti Joe. Anybody who know me know I am. But I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be like, oh yeah, I feel like that every day. But no, some days I feel like being, squared away as we say. Like, I'm gonna make sure my boots is polished. I'm gonna make sure, you know what I'm saying, I'm representing the uniform correctly. I'm following the rules. I'm doing this. I'm making sure this is how it is. At you know, being Joe for a little bit. I get my little dose in. But I feel like I know I'm not the only one that does it or feels that way, because I know the three of y'all. I've worked with y'all, so, and I've seen your work ethic. So I'm sure if you're here, you're not a dirtbag, because he doesn't like dirtbags. And Kelvin, you already, you Warrant, and I mean, you already do great things because you from Ohio. So we ain't got to talk about you. But
Respect.
That's what I feel like is Navy Day, because it's not just myself doing it; it's everybody doing it. So when you addressing people how they're supposed to be addressed, when you're upholding the courtesies and customs of the military, that's when every day is Navy Day, because it's our life. Like, let's be real, it's our life, because you're not. It's not an off switch. We don't get off from work. So you're a sailor 24/7.
I agree.
However,
I was gonna say
but
no,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say, I think it's every day. Like at work, what do they talk about? They talk about the Navy. They talk about the mission. So it's only a couple times in the month that for that month, if they even do something, they celebrate Hispanic heritage or Asian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
other
then
than
it's
that-
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what your outlook is.
Well, again, I'm only asking questions to drive the conversation, right? I'm not saying everything I say I believe. I'm trying to drive the conversation.
So you know what?
So go ahead.
Well, this is my thing, and man, don't let me go off on a tangent, because I'm starting to feel this alcohol.
Let's go. Keep sipping, y'all. The conversation get real good.
See, Josh understands what goes on when I have a couple drinks, so I'm gonna try to slow it down. But this is my thing. This is how I see it, right? I think that I understand what you're trying to say, Josh, because I think you think that keeping it at the forefront of the conversation could in some ways be a negative thing, because it's a constant reminder that create division. You know what I'm saying? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and if it's constantly at the forefront, can you ever actually implement it?
I kind of agree with you to an extent. And I'm going to tell you how I kind of agree with you. I think that a lot of people, like you just said, we're in the Navy 24 hours a day, which 100% is true. But I think that a lot of people come to the Navy to be the end-all solution and to their entire life, because they're part of this. Most of us, our entire adult career has been Navy. Most of us join the Navy late teens, 17, 18, 19, early 20s. Here we are now, mid-30s, early 40s. You know what I'm saying? So our entire adult life has been the Navy. And a lot of times people put requirements on the Navy that you don't hear from other civilian companies and things like that. Now, granted, this is a unique organization. It's not a lot of organizations that you do for a career that would require you and your family and everyone to move 3 to 5 years every you know what I'm saying? So I get that. But on the same token, I think sometimes, man, chill out, have a drink. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to constantly look to the Navy and be like, well, I think that, our people aren't represented correctly. Like, for example, I don't even want to go down there.
Because it might be something I thought of. It might be something my sailor thought of.
Hold on. But so I think the thing is, and I say this for me, is it ever, when we get into, is it ever too late? Because I'm a black man first, right? And I think we can prove that very simply by saying, has anybody ever seen orders on a sailor coming in and try to guess or already base their work ethic off of the name that they saw? I'm sure we all have. So everything I do, I'm in the Navy and I've been in the Navy 23 years, but at the end of the day, I'm still a black man. So you asked me, and anybody who's worked with me will tell you this, I've been late one time in my career. Why? Because as a black man, I've always wanted to defeat the stigma that black people are always late. So I literally get to work an hour early just to defeat the stigma that black people are late, because I know that if I am late, than it is, oh, he's a black man, and that's the stigma that goes with black people. They're always late. So I will never not be a black man, and I will never not be walk into a room and that carries with it certain stigmas before anybody's even talked to me. The saying, like I said, you can take that to any minority group. Like you said, like when we started this conversation, Josh, you said, based off of my name, you would think ABCD, Josh Moore, until you met me, right? And that is a fact based off of your name. If I seen orders for Josh Moore, I'm gonna think you're a white guy from California. That is a fact. And it's the same thing we could say with a woman that we've seen coming, right? And a lot of times women have to work harder than a man to prove they belong because when you see that name, you are automatically, oh shit, I'm getting a woman. So that woman has to work twice as hard to prove her worth than maybe a man.
Those are facts.
How?
Those are facts. I'm just saying that because I'm a woman.
No,
those are facts.
How? Because it's not a fact.
Okay.
Because when I get female sailors, they're treated the same as the male sailors.
If not,
So
Okay,
I make sure to weed out any misconceptions, stigmas, or anything. Like, no, Stacy, you're treated just like Kevin.
Oh, okay, but we're talking about stigmas. That's something different. So when a pretty sailor, right, checks on board or whatever the case is, so y'all not saying stuff like, oh, she about to get pregnant, she about to get off the ship, or when I walk into a room, like, oh, here she comes, she's a loud Latina coming through, and that's the
we only say
stigma.
that because we know you,
No.
but not for some random. Okay, I just want to make that clear for you.
I love Joshua.
Let's be real. Does that happen? Absolutely.
Yes, that happens.
Does
but
it happen? Absolutely.
You can't say that that's fact when you got leaders sitting here
No.
who get sailors that, and that doesn't cross their mind. I don't say, oh, she about to get pregnant, or oh, she about to, like, I don't. That's not how I operate as
Can
a.
I interject?
Yeah,
Real
go
quick?
ahead, do your thing.
I honestly think that it kind of goes along with, man, Tanya, you're going to hate me for this. I honestly think it goes along with the myth of unequal pay. Okay, so let me put it to you like this. This is my mentality, right? We just discussed the amount of time that everybody's been in the Navy, right? A lot of us have been in. I know, Kelvin, you said you've been in for 23 years, right, bro?
That's
Yeah,
fact.
so, I mean, there's a lot of people in here who got a lot of time in the military, right?
Not Kim. Hold on. Kim been in like 9 years. She over there like, oh my God, they're gonna figure
so
me
she's the
out.
baby. But what the reason I say that is how many of us throughout all of our years in the military have grown and matured and have realized that the stigmas or the stereotypes that we've placed on people don't necessarily apply. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that I came into the military with the preconceived idea of who individuals were, and over the years I've learned that that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? That you can't judge a book by the cover. So I say that to say this idea, we all have been in the Navy long enough to know that, are there individual, I can't speak, nothing is indefinite. There's always an anomaly.
Right.
But this is an equal opportunity organization as far as gender roles go for the most part. I've never personally encountered a female being held to a higher standard. I can see a female internally feeling that she needs to work harder to try to keep up. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say, for example, maintenance, right? You're carrying toolboxes, you're doing all these things. I've seen females overly push themselves because they want to show that they don't want to be treated differently. You know what I'm saying? But the idea that the pressure of you must work harder to be equal, that one I don't see. That you got to educate me on that.
I was gonna say,
Okay, let me ask you.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you haven't seen it, right? I know, but you're a male, and I'm glad you haven't seen it. But not only have I lived it, but I've seen it. I don't know about Kim.
Kim, you can answer into the microphone.
Yeah, sorry.
The microphone.
I'm letting her finish. She's
Okay.
talking.
So that's why it does happen, and it's very. I was gonna say it's very easy for you guys that are males, to say that no, that's not the case. But you've never walked in our shoes, to say that.
But you know what? On the flip side of that, I could also say, from a male's perspective, I see many females get preferential treatment.
Yes, I agree with that too.
So,
Mhm.
from my standpoint, when I hear a female say that, the first thing that goes in my mind is, but what about old girl when she was messing with
Right.
old boy and blase blah, or better yet, old boy was just liking her. You know what I'm saying? He was gonna get no play.
Simping.
Like we knew that.
Simping.
You know what I'm
Get-
saying?
right.
But and you know what? And that female took that to the highest level
Yes.
she could. So this mentality that's why I say as a policy, the organization as a policy, the way the organization is structured, it's not set up against you to work harder. And if there are individual cases where, because I can't say that that's not the case. I'm sure it has, especially in your experience, because you're telling me.
Yeah.
So I believe you. But on the same token, the opposite is occurring as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
it
can't
is.
say like I think a blanket statement saying females have to work harder to prove themselves. That is where I take issue with. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not my experience. I've actually experienced the opposite.
Can I ask, as somebody has been on 3 ships, 3, right? Yeah, 3. So like, if I've seen it in situations where, like, yes, Tanya, a female engineer, yes, because I got female engineer. Well, we wouldn't know because you ain't saying nothing. But I've seen female engineers have to work harder. Female bosun mates, I've seen them have to prove themselves and work harder
Facts.
because that's a male dominated, and it has a lot of bullshit behind it. Like they think they're macho or whatever, and it's like, bro, you're not even like that. So I don't even know why you giving her a hard time.
Yeah.
Like you're not a man's man.
Nick,
So
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead. But
Have
hold
you
on, let me finish
ever-
this statement though.
Okay.
But operations, admin, supply, like nah, you're not about to sit here and tell me that a woman got to prove herself and
No,
admin.
I'll give you one better.
But go
though.
ahead.
I'll give you one better though. This is my own experience.
Right.
Have you ever seen, because I can understand what you're saying about engineering and things like that, right? I can only speak for aviation maintenance, but I can also talk about shipboard maintenance because I've been on carriers and stuff. But have you ever seen females being praised solely because they are working equal to what a male does?
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? In those same scenarios, it's like, you know what? As a female, you're still holding your own. You know what? You get the EP.
And it's like, yo, this is
But
the
hold up.
standard.
She didn't do anything extra, but because she's a female
Yes.
and she did she was meeting the same quality of work as other males or whatever the
And
case
don't
might
let her
be.
be.
You see what I'm saying? So it's both ways. It's like I can't say that it doesn't happen.
Hold on,
but
hold on.
As a policy, as a blanket statement, I can't.
I'll
I
stop.
wouldn't
I'll
say
stop.
that
I'll
that-
stop.
that's the case.
Because right now, there's a lot of men talking about a lot of women in the Navy, and I got 2 women sitting right here. So I really want to hear because this topic was a big topic in the podcast before the podcast with me and Nikki. Okay, and everyone, I don't need to retell the story. Everyone know Nikki here, right? Except Kim, you never met my wife, but everyone knows Nikki. Okay,
She a real one.
okay, so
Shout out to Nikki.
shout out to hey boo, I'm coming up soon. But so Avi, like she served her time in the nursing field, officer world, right? So unlike the civilian world where most nurses are female, in the military, guess what most nurses are? Male. It's still a male dominant, community. So I really want to hear from the females about, because we have a female engineer that was just brought up, right? We have a female admin that was just brought up, right? So I really want to hear about like the things that y'all have seen, that you've witnessed, that you've experienced in all this, because this is diversity, which women are included in that, right? And it's important that we hear that perspective from you guys to continue to drive this situation. And oh, hey, by the way, they're both minorities, right? From different ethnic groups that influences their experience, right? So Kim, kick it.
I'm gonna kick it. Okay. Female engineering. So, just like males, they're not all the same. You're not gonna have some badass females And you have some, stereotypical ones like, oh, I can't do it, I'm weak. So I mean, they are praised. Some are praised for doing what a male can do. Like, okay, good job doing that water wash. And then you have your other females who just do the bare minimum, and you're like, oh, don't get pregnant. So there is stereotypes where it's, okay, that's expected, just another female. But then you do have that treatment where it's like, oh, okay, Chief saw the new E3 check-in, female. It's like, hey, take care of her. It's like, okay, she can take care of herself. Just because she's a female, she's not like she can't do it. So I've seen that, but I mean, what else?
So,
I don't know.
was it, so those bitches give us a bad name, okay? Like, let's be honest. No, because there is those, and you're right. I have seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took me 20 years to make Chief white because I wasn't sucking dick. You know what I mean? So there is females that are like that, but you guys, that's what you've seen, and that's what you're judging. It sounds like, it feels like that's what your judgment is off of just those scenarios. I know, no, because it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And I hate, but like for me, the first thing I do when the sailor checks in is because I'm senior now, because what I've been through, because I know better, because nobody was there for me to take care of me. I go in there and tell them, anybody fucks with you, this is A, B, and C, what you're not gonna do, and this is what you are gonna do. You know, because we're all equal. So I make sure there should be senior females in the Navy that go in, and instead of being mad at them, oh my God, here comes this little girl and now she's gonna do this and that, you know. But that also goes to, okay, well, what about that male chief? Is anybody talking to him? Are you talking to your brother and letting him know, like, yo, or your sister or whoever, like, because they both prey on him, like, let's be honest. Are you talking to him and letting them know, like, hey, hands off? Oh, sorry.
No, you fine. Keep going.
Like, what are you doing? So yes, I do agree with you, and to be honest with you, I've never thought about it until you just said it right now, CJ. When you just said that you've seen females be praised for doing the exact same thing that a male did. I've actually seen that, but it never clicked on me until you said that. Like, that has happened, but I guess we're so used to it that it's like, oh shit, damn, you're right. That does happen. I mean, I only got 2 years left, but I'm gonna make sure that I don't inadvertently do that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a learning process here. I want to hear Kelvin.
Let me flip it. Yeah, let me flip it because this is something near and dear to my heart. I got my fiance's in the Navy as well. And so because a lot of points you bring up honestly still work to the I don't want to say to the female's benefit, but to the female's argument. And I say that because yes, there are women who want to take advantage of this situation. That's a fact. So that makes the hard-working woman have to work even harder to get that same praise. Have I looked at orders for a woman and said, oh yes, we have to watch out for her, and maybe this person isn't going to work as hard as a male, and then that person had to come in and work double time as hard? Because there's another part of this, and this is the stigma of being a woman in the Navy, and we've mentioned this a couple of times, but we haven't actually truly deep dove into it, because there are women in the Navy who are scared to have a family simply because of the stigma of a woman getting pregnant, right? And so if anybody in this room has said to theirself, oh, I hope she doesn't get pregnant, or she better not get pregnant, or she got pregnant and she has cost me, well, this person just started a family, a normal thing for any woman in any other industry. However, we knock women for that, for starting a family, because we don't knock men for that. We don't knock men for starting a family because, again, obviously they can keep coming to work and whatever else. But we knock women and we hold women. I have seen women be told, do not get pregnant because we're about to go on deployment, right? Do not start a family, which is a natural thing, because we're about to go on deployment. So I think we have to be real sensitive when we talk, because women go through things that, and again, just like kind of Josh said, that maybe us men don't understand. Just like I wouldn't want a white male talking about the Black experience. I'm hesitant to talk about the woman experience, but I can also be honest as a leader and say that I've seen things. And listen, I'm going to be real. I've probably done things or thought things about a woman coming to my unit, coming to my division that were unfair and put that woman already in a stigma before she even touched the deck.
Sometimes
As
that's
soon
just
as I
good
saw her
leadership.
orders.
I was gonna say, sorry, go ahead.
No, go. You talking?
I've been guilty of that too. I haven't said it to the sailor, but I've said it in my head, like, man, this bitch better not come over here and get pregnant. Because ultimately, I think that, okay, you joined the Navy. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? And they, they say wait till you get to shore duty, and then to get pregnant and start a family. So you have to. I feel like you have to make a conscious decision to do that. Now, if you decide that, no, I'm not going to do that, it's going to be on my time, then there's consequences to that. So if you get pulled off the ship because you got pregnant and then a year later you have to go back on, like, you knew that was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? That's the Navy standards, the Navy rules. And but I understand having the judgment, because not only because I've been on the judgee, but the judger as well. So yeah, I do that. I've been guilty of doing that too, and I'm not saying it's right, but I don't think that we do it negatively. Like, maybe the way it comes out is wrong, but like, hey, here's a plan. Hey, this is what you need to do if you want to be successful. Not, hey, don't get on here and get pregnant. Don't be fucking with him and this and that. You know what I'm saying? That comes out wrong. That comes off bad. Like, do you really care about this, sailor? Or, like, what are your intentions? Does that make sense? But you're not the only one just because you're a male. Females do that too, And my daughter is actually in the Air Force. So now the way I see sailors, like, I expect I want her to be taken care of. So I take care of mine and I watch the way I talk to them, because let somebody talk to my baby crazy. It's a wrap.
I'm with you. And this is what I say, because every minority group, and this is, trying to bring it back to minorities as a whole, every minority group deals with their stigmas, to include women, to include black. And I think, like I said, I have purposely said I am going to be on time because that is the black stigma that black people are late, right? And women have to fight that uphill battle because, one, there's the stigma that, hey, she may get pregnant, so how much trust can I put in her? Because she can be gone at any moment. And there's the stigma of the woman who does use that, hey, I'm a cute girl to my advantage, so they don't want to work as hard. So now the woman who comes in and says, hey, I want to bust my ass, I want to make rank, I want to do it the right way, that person has to work doubly as hard. And like I said, and to go back to Filipinos, that there is the stigma that, hey, Filipinos are going to get whatever because the mafia exists, and I can tap into the mafia. And again, I know, Josh, you don't like this word, but we're talking about the stigma that exists, that, hey, maybe you didn't earn what you got because there's this group of leaders who's looking to take care of you. We are all, as minorities, dealing with these stigmas, and at the end of the day, we're still in a majority-driven workplace, because there's still, when you look at the leadership, really the leadership in the Navy, by and large, it's still white men.
So let me ask you, did that stigma ever go away? So you said you purposely came in on time or early because black people were known for being late. So did that ever, 23 years. Do you still feel that way?
And it 100%. I am still at work 1 hour early.
I gotta say this.
To break.
No. Respect. I respect your mentality behind that. I'm just kind of surprised. Not surprised. What's the word? So this is my thing, right? I come to work on time just because I'm supposed to be at work on time. Like, I don't allow other people's perceptions of my ethnicity to be projected on me. I don't have the energy to live within those confines. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people who are going to put stigmas on me. I don't even allow myself to be concerned with it. I come to work on time because I'm supposed to be at work on time. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear that, it makes me feel like, I don't know what the word is to describe it, but I'm sorry to hear you've experienced that for 23 years. You know what I'm saying?
Have you ever found yourself doing something?
No.
to
avoid myself from
Yes. falling
falling into a pitfall. No, I'm actually the one that might actually fit that stereotype. You know what I'm saying? If that's really who I am, I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely me.
Yo, I'm saying though, and you know what? It's not because I'm black. You're talking. Okay. I'll give you a perfect example, right? When I first married my wife is Filipino. She's half. Her mom is Filipino. Her dad is, partially Filipino also. So when her mom first met me, right, I would come home from work tired. My wife's mom didn't understand the military. First thing I would do is hit the couch and go to sleep, right? And then I know this for a fact. Her mom never lived in America before. You know what I'm saying? But had the idea through her own, experience of like what other people have said about black people. Oh, he might be lazy because he's black. Literally, this is what her mom said about me. But you know what? Within a year of her knowing me, she took it back, said, you know what? I had you wrong. You know what I'm saying? I didn't adjust myself for her. I just did what I know I do as a man, and I earned her respect. You know what I'm saying? So
Let me say, I respect what you're saying, and I 100% agree. And now part of it is now just who I've become. But at the end of the day, and I say this every single day, I still represent Black culture, and I represent that hopefully in a group. I don't want to say hopefully, but normally in a group that is mostly white, right? I'm still gonna dress the way I dress. I'm still gonna talk the way I talk. So I hope that I'm still putting a positive representation on what a Black man is while still being true to who I am and to my culture. And part of now being on time or being early, I guess being super early, is just part of who I am. It did start 100%. It did start as trying to defeat that stereotype. And again, I don't knock anybody, whatever time you show up or whatever thing you do. Every sailor that I've talked to, especially again, now I talk to a lot of young Black men. And every young Black man that I talk to that has an issue with being on time, I also relate it back to, hey, remember how these people may be, and I don't want to say these people in a negative, but it is what it is because we're speaking truth. Remember how you may be looked at, like you said, somebody was already calling you lazy, right? So now it's already he the Black guy, right? I am as a Black man representing more than myself, and I have to understand that. I have to understand that at all times that, hey, I'm not just representing me because, like we said, there's a lot of people in this industry that have never seen or never worked with a Black person. So the things that I do, the things that they see, and you remember in that war room is normally mostly white. I am now maybe the only representative they have of Black culture at that level. So everything I do may represent you and the Black seaman who just joined the Navy.
What? Hold on. Like CJ said, I respect. You know what I'm saying? What you do is what you do and how you operate. But when you say in the war room, I'm working with people who haven't worked with Black people, I don't understand how that's happened because as a CO, XO, ops, department head, whatever, you've had Black sailors up under you. So
what I mean, sorry. Yeah, let me straighten that out. So what I mean by that is as a officer, a lot of officers have Black sailors. But again, as an officer, I've been able to keep them at a distance, right? So now in the wardroom where we sit down talking about not work, but we're bullshitting, we're talking about politics, we're talking about whatever else. Now, you're not above me, so now we are talking on the same level. So now you're getting to know me not as your subordinate, but as a person that's at the same level as you, and we're talking at that same level. And again, listen, I'm not saying this to say, hey, I'm above anybody or whatever. I'm saying in that workroom, I always remember that I'm still a Black man and I'm representing all Black culture. And I mean that both in the positive and the hey, let me show somebody that we're more than maybe just what the stigma may be. But I also mean that in, hey, I'm still a guy from the hood of Cincinnati, and I'm going to speak as such.
I think I understand exactly what you're saying. I think I follow what you're saying. I understand because there is some representation just in, who we are. So I think I understand what you're saying.
All right, real quick. We got two new people that just joined the table. We got Charlie. Charlie in the red and yellow. What's up, Charlie? You good? No, that one's not working. Use that one.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, you good. And then also on the Zoom call, shit, where'd he go? Shit, we have Mark. I really wanted to get Mark in right where we at. Mark has been on the podcast before. Mark is an LDO, former chief, LSC, now SUPO, JG. I don't know where. Oh, here he is. Right. And I think as we talk about diversity, right, it's interesting thinking about something that you just said, right, Nick? Right. Hey, what's up, Mark? Mark's here with us. I was just introducing you. How could a CO or XO or the department head, right, even if they're Caucasian, not have ever worked with black people, Hispanics, Filipinos, whatever, right? There's everything in the Navy that's out there, right? How could they not, right? They have, right, but they're kind of detached from it. Well, they're a lot more detached from it than the chiefs sitting here at this table right now, right? And now both of our officers on the Zoom call are both prior, right? We got Chief Warren and we got LDO, so they're both prior chiefs. So they know, and now they can see how detached the SWO from Annapolis is, right? And it's something that, again, as I was talking with Nikki about this, right? And Nikki had a lot to say. I'm gonna probably do a follow up with her, right? We got kids though, Yeah. It's an interesting aspect when I got a lot to say, right? I've been letting y'all go, right? Something about culture, right? Yeah, you are a black man, you are a Hispanic woman, you are an Asian woman, whatever, all this, right? And people are looking at you like that. And yeah, you might talk a certain way with a little bit of an accent or something. But then when certain people come around, the officer or something, do you put on your white professional voice?
Fuck no.
That's only when I answer the phone.
Only when you answer the phone, right? Why is the voice of professionalism a white tone? And again, let me get some things out here, right? Or are you professional enough in any tone, in any language, right? Is the ebonics and the slang, is that professional at all, right? Some junior sailors don't understand that that's just not professional and that's not how you speak. I know the way I speak at work is pretty much the same without maybe as many curse words directed towards the officers.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but I am very. Someone said I'm very curt. Right, I'm short with the officers. I give them a direct answer, and one that I hope sends a message of "Stop talking to me now," right? But there's a big difference, right? And I was, it's hard to find. It's hard to find an officer that would come onto the podcast and give us that straight up SWO, straight up different perspective of not having been enlisted, not having been into the diverse group that we all grew up in the Navy in, right? And having been a chief, right? Because as Kelvin has been saying, right, the chief's mess hella more diverse than that wardroom. As Nikki reminds me earlier, right? In a male-dominant nurse corps, that is still male, Caucasian male-dominant, right? When they're looking at her and this is something she said, and this goes into a lot of things, right? They're looking at her walk in, sleeved up, right? Talking how she talks before she changes up the tone, and they're like, "Oh, you're prior?" And she's like, "Yeah, prior civilian. Get the fuck out of my way." All right, you're talking to a lieutenant now.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's why she was active, right? And part of why she didn't want to be here because she said she's not active anymore, right? So she doesn't want to be like, "Oh, back in my day," that kind of shit, right? She's like, she's not active no more, so but those are still things that she experienced. Here's another one, right? Sharing her story, right? Because again, hand raised, I'm the privileged fucker here, okay, right? My fault. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, CJ. God, someone got my back.
I got black privilege.
Damn, I don't. 5'8", 215. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. But so as we're talking through this, right? It's like she experienced the culture going against her, right? When she was deployed 2015 on the Mercy, right? When she's one of the only Asian nurses and the head nurse 05 was like, she's about the sisters. Everyone coming off deployment got a NAM. That was black, except Nikki. Right? So it doesn't matter what group you're in. The negativity can always exist. And then as we were speaking about earlier, the Filipinos and how, and Mark, you could jump in after this, right? How they look out for each other and they find one and be like, hey, where you from? How you been? Let me help you out. Let me show you the ropes. Well, this commander was doing the same thing. Right? But when you do it at the detriment, as Nick, you shared a C story, when you do it to the detriment of others is when it's wrong. Right? When you sneak it, when you send people home early and then spend the quality training time only with your people, right, then it's wrong. So as long as you're doing it fairly across the board, it's all good, right? But, and then it is the true meaning of diversity, right? I make the joke that I'm privileged over here, right? But what's not a joke is when I say I could hop the fence and play both sides, right? If I need to go fucking listen to the metal shit with white boys, right, and fucking, oh, hell yeah, brother, like, let's go, right, bub? All day. But I could also sit down amongst you all and not feel out of place. And I'm pretty sure none of y'all feel like, oh, fuck, who brought the white guy, right? Or why we at the white guy's house, right? So I could do it all, right? And it's easy for me to move between those different categories, those different diverse groups that others don't feel for whatever reasons, right? And again, there's no question, right? But I know CJ got something to say.
No,
Mark, if you got anything, bro, just jump in.
I'm curious. Are you saying because you're white, you feel
bro.
like you can cross boundaries?
It's not because I'm white. Because I'm not.
Because honestly, I feel the same way. I feel like I can cross boundaries also.
Right.
So.
It's because I'm cultured.
What?
Like you're cultured. Like many of us sitting here and on these phone calls are cultured, right?
So
What's
race
up?
has nothing to do with it. It's all about, because like I mess with you because I like you.
Right.
Like Josh is cool. I mess with Josh. Josh is cool.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do like Josh is cool for a white guy or, you know what I'm saying? I've invited you to my home.
Sorry, I couldn't
you
make
know,
it.
It's all good, but you know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't do that unless I liked you as an individual. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you losing me with that. Is what I'm saying because I'm like,
But like when you step
Hold on,
into
Tanya, go.
No, sorry.
Tanya, then Kelvin, then Nick.
that when you step into like a new mess, new command or whatever, new room, like if I see another Latina, like it's until I get to know her, when you step into the room and there's different races, right? You gonna look at the brothers. Am I lying? That's what you're gonna attract first. That's what that's not right.
All right, go. Hold on. Nick's shaking
I'm
his
gonna
head
look at
no.
the shoes
So
first, though,
so
and then
yeah,
I'm
black
gonna-
shoes only. Nick, go, then kick it to Kelvin.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because you set yourself up when you do that. So you're showing your hand, believe it or not, to those who are watching you. So if I come in a mess and I'm only hanging with this person or that person, I'm gonna need the white guy in the corner one day. You know what I'm saying? So why I do it is I've experienced. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It's bitch ass people in every race. All right, I'm not rocking with somebody because he black.
Right.
Because I'm quick to tell him, fuck out of here. He's a lame. I wouldn't be caught with him because he's a snake. He's a sucker. He's this. He's that. He's that. And I met white guys that was cool, like, or Americans. That was cool, Josh. That was your plug.
Thank you. Appreciate
But
it.
I do not go. I don't go in any room only dapping up black dudes first or none of that. It's what's up to everybody. I always lead with respect because I want the same in return. I don't want to be not included. That's not cool. So you got to be careful when you say, "Oh, I'm gonna go with fuck with this person first," because yeah, you might do that, but then what if that person don't rock with your community like that? Or what if your person is a coconut or
There we go. Yeah.
almond joy or whatever, whatever stigmas you want to throw out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't go it off that. I got a partner, he's black, he's one of my best friends. But this dude, he got a saying, if it ain't snowing, he ain't going. That's his thing.
I hope he's not military talking about coke.
That's his thing. That's what he like. And he's at the Kenny Chesney concerts and he plays the guitar and all of that. But that's still my man's. And I take him over somebody that I just met.
Bless you.
Are we doing a podcast, bro? You just got your booster or something? Oh, sorry,
Bless
y'all.
you,
Bless you, brother. But I met dudes who come from the same backgrounds as me, where I'm like, man, I want to punch you in your face because you're a bitch. That's why I don't
Go.
But go ahead.
Yeah, Kelvin,
Go
kick
ahead,
it.
Kelvin.
Well, so this is the thing, because we
Ohio.
talked about how I talk, right? And well, not how I talk, but how people talk, right? I think in everything that we do, there's a time and place for everything, right? I'm not going in the CEO's office talking about, yo, what up, dog? You know what I'm saying? But if I'm on the phone with my homeboy, that may be how I talk, because I am a bunch of different things, right? Just because I'm a black guy doesn't mean I'm professional at all times, and it doesn't. So if we're in civilian clothes, then I may talk a different way than if I'm going in the CO's office, right? That may sound, even my girl will say, oh, you sound different when you talk to different people, because different situations, different people require me to talk different. And that's not a knock. That's I'm still, at all times, I'm still representing Kelvin. I'm still representing my mom. I'm still representing a black man, because I can, just like you said, I can move in any crowd. So the first thing is, Josh, first of all, I always thought you were Hispanic. I didn't know that you represented as a white man. I'm very confused right now.
Hold on. Let me answer that real quick.
That's where the American plug came
Hispanics are Caucasian. Yeah. It's on the fucking, just look it up. They're
That's not
Caucasian.
That's not true.
It is.
I was very confused. But
Hey,
but
Tony,
again,
you Caucasian.
We're not about to have that.
Hey, but you know what?
And
I don't know if my mic is still on.
No, you on, CJ. Hold on. Let him finish. Hold on. We're going to come back to you, CJ. Hold on. Go. Keep going, Kelvin.
But I believe that the thing that has made me successful, right, is my ability to move in different crowds, right? And I think this was said already. The ability to because at the end of the day, I think no matter the race, no matter the sexual orientation, no matter the sex, no matter whatever, there's still more that in which we're alike than we're different. So I can still, with every sailor that I've had in my Navy career, I can still find something in which we can relate and which we can talk about. Now, again, every sailor I've had, to include, and I'm talking about subordinates, I probably talk different, right? I may talk Star Wars to somebody. I may talk football to somebody else. I may talk hood shit to somebody else. I may talk, you know what I'm saying? So my language, my tone, the things I say, the things I do changes from person to person, conversation to conversation. And I don't take that as a negative. That's just me and the way I'm moving inside of those conversations. So again, when I go talk to the CEO, it may not sound the same as if I'm calling my boy from back in Cincinnati in the hood, and it's going to sound a little different. And like I said,
Absolutely.
that has been pointed out to me, because the same as, like I will say, my mother has literally in her life never heard me use profanity. And anybody who knows me knows that I cuss every other word.
Right on.
Because every conversation is different.
You know what? Can I interject now? This is what confuses me about this topic, right? I don't think Josh, as a half Caucasian, half Hispanic person, feels like when he speaks, he's representing his entire ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand the mentality. Like, I don't understand why certain people feel they need to carry that weight. I need to carry my people on my back and prove that my people are not what you think we are. You know what I'm saying? I think individual accountability, individual character, those are the things that matter. I don't care what you think about me. Let my actions show you who I am.
So,
you know what I'm saying? What's funny to me is it's only us, it's only minorities who feel that we need to speak for all of us. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see Josh sitting here like, well, you know what? Thankfully, I'm half Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? Because I can show you guys that as a half Caucasian, I can articulate my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's, like, Caucasians don't think that way. You know? It's only us, and we put that stigma on us. Like, I challenge anybody listening, let that shit go. You know what I'm saying? Like, be you, and let the real you be the person that's judged. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
But in the same context, I will say that I'm the same way as you, Calvin. When I'm speaking to the CO, I'm not using the same vernacular that I'm using. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not talking the same way I talk to Nick when I'm just talking to Nick or Josh or whatever the case, because there is different levels of who I am as an individual. So I understand that 100%. And I think that anybody with common sense would know better. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand the mentality of, like, I need to represent all of my people, because it's like, at the end of the day, you know, if anything, you're setting yourself up for failure. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody's perfect. They're gonna see your flaws and attribute your flaws to all black people. So, like, nah, don't look at me for my color. You know, respect my color, but look at me for who I am.
All right, let's
know what I'm
go.
saying?
Charlie.
Yeah, I hear your part of, like, don't let the chain of command or whoever's looking at you like, okay, this person represents everybody in his ethnicity, everybody in that minority section.
I don't feel it.
But it comes around when we do have those people in the wardroom who ran into the, hey, I've been around 20 years, and, you know, last year we had all this extremism going on, and I got turned too, and they looked at me, they was like, so what do we talk about? It's like, so what's really going on? Because I was there was no black officers. It was a whole white male dominated chain of command, and they're like, we need to talk about this. Things are going on in the world. How should I word this? How should I put this out? Let's talk about the all hands call. And they looking at me like, no, we don't know what's going on. We don't know the wrong thing to say out here.
That's a good thing, though, no?
That part is good. You're taking on that burden, though, like, all right, let me really sit down and think about this to make sure
you're not taking on the burden of all minorities. You're adding a perspective from a minority.
it's perspective they don't have.
Exactly, because you're a minority. But you shouldn't have to carry, well, this is what minorities want to hear. Because you don't know what every minority wants to hear.
Right, you don't know what everybody wants to hear.
You know what I'm saying?
But you're putting it
like,
out there.
stop
for
putting
them.
that on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think he did it. I think
Hold on,
they
hold on.
did it.
Hold
Like,
on.
well, whoever it is.
Yo,
that-
yo,
you
yo,
know what
yo.
I'm saying?
Yo, one at a time. Charlie, finish your thought.
So when we're getting into those situations and how we talk to people, I come at it with, I need to talk to you however it's going to take for you to get the job done. All right? Whichever way is more, like, however you need it, I'm going to give it to you because I want something done. And this needs to get done one way or another. You know, whether that's talking a different way, but you're going to be yourself. Like, you got to understand how people communicate. And if somebody doesn't get how you talk normally, you got to switch it up because you want your message to be clear. It's all about that clear communication. So if I got to, like, slow it down, you know, change up my pace, change up my tone, and be like, yo, let me elaborate to you this way. All right, let me not use $10 words. Let me break down these $1.50 words like I get at the liquor store. We on it. Like, I'm going to get the job done, and we're going to get through this together. But you have to switch it up sometimes. Everybody is not the same.
All right, hey, let's Mark's been here weighing. Let's get Mark in on this. Mark again is a former LSC, LDO. Mark, you at JG now?
JG now. You
Almost railroad tracks. Almost. Look at you growing up. What do you think, man?
Yeah, so a lot of good information being put out, and I agree with a lot of the information too. And one of the things is, like, the command that I'm currently at right now is RCO was a prior chief, and so just because he was a prior chief, you know, I don't come at him, you know, like he's a chief. I give him the respect as he is as a CO. So just like what y'all were saying, you know, when I talk to the CO, I go in there professional, but there's also times too where, you know, we're not talking business, we're talking sports, or we're talking basketball or something, you know, and we're talking just like we're human beings. But at the end of the day, when we're working, you know, you just have to be that professional, because this is a profession, right? So, you know, and that's kind of like what we were trained to do. And I'm not saying, you know, go out and be somebody else, but, you know, that you just have to give that respect from a professional standpoint. But, you know, that's pretty much like what I got as far as that goes.
Hey, your CO, what ethnicity is he?
He's African American.
So, does that make it easier to talk to him in your, because you a hooper, right? You got a little bit of we'll call it African American culture or hoop culture, right? In you, does it make it easier to approach him on that level, speaking like that? If he was a white dude, would you be like, hey, let's talk hoops, let's talk sports, or would you just keep it in the white tone professional?
So for me, it's a little bit different because, I kind of gauge the CO, regardless of what their race is, right? It's just, based off their character. You have, you kind of, based off their character, you kind of have to have that emotional intelligence to kind of understand and get, your boss, or, just people in general, right? So I'll always start out, professional. And if the, whoever it is chooses to, to go down that road, and I'll relax a little bit, but I'll always let the CO set the tone. Now I've had a couple of COs previously where, I couldn't talk to them, the way that I do. And nor do I ever go into the CO's office just to shoot shit. Right. I just go in there, just, handle my business. And if he wants to talk a little bit more, we'll talk a little bit more. But, for the most part, I just try and keep, state my business and then go on my merry way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. It just, as we're talking about all this, right? I think everyone kind of looking at me when I ask that question, right? Is like looking at me weird. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm gonna make it personal for me, like, because you said that, right? Because people assume because I'm 6'6" and I'm black that, like, they think, like, the first thing they say to me if they don't know me is, "Oh, you're a basketball player, man," or, "All right, oh, I know you're a basketball player."
Mm-hmm.
Bro, who you hoop for? Like, that's always the first thing. And it's like, all right, man, yeah, like, yes, I do play basketball. Yes, I am good. Yes, I'm in the men's league at Balboa. Yes.
Oh my God.
However,
Six man.
I'm giving autographs.
However, you can just talk to me regular. Like, it doesn't have to. That's
right.
That shouldn't be your icebreaker.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, what command you with? What's your job? What's your rate? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so many other. But when you start with I'm already looking at you like, all right, man, like, you're shallow because you don't have any, what you call it?
No culture.
Yeah, like
you black and tall, so you must play hoops.
Right, but like I'm talking to the person that's greeting me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's old, man. Like I'm a man. Just talk to me regular.
Man, that must be tough, bro. Yo, I'm so sorry for you.
No. It's just.
And you know what? You know what's.
I'm just saying it's.
And you know what's crazy though?
Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, what's crazy though too is me coming up, as a Filipino. Filipinos come up to me all the time, and they see that when I made chief or when I picked up a LDO, they come up to me and they're like, "Oh yeah, you made it because you're part of the mafia." I'm like, "What you talking about, man? Like that's not how I made it. Like I made it because of my hard work and anybody that knows me, like I just work hard and I get along with everybody. You know what I mean? And it's just it just bothers me sometimes when people come at me and they just assume automatically that that's what I am and that's how I made it.
Well, and let me touch back on because I think somebody said, "Hey, you shouldn't represent your entire culture." Well, whether you want to or not, you are. Whether you want to or not, somebody somewhere is going to attribute positively or negatively attributes to your entire culture based on the things you do. Again, positively or negatively, right? You have the potential to change somebody's mind about potentially your entire culture, or vice versa. You have the potential to feed into a stereotype. Like I said,
so
again,
let me ask you
kind
this.
of talked about.
I just got a question to that statement. Are you performing at the best of your ability because of the color of your skin and the duty you feel to that color? Or are you performing to the best of your ability because it's your character? It's because it's the way you were raised. It's because, see, me, when I put my uniform on, I put my name tag on first, right? That's the way I do it. When I wear my khakis, right? I put my name tag on first. My name tag is I'm representing my family. It's like, hey, this is who my mom and my father raised. to behave this way. It's not, this is who, as a black man, I'm raised to behave this way. And this is what I asked, like, when I asked Josh, I was like, do you feel the need to, your actions speak for your ethnicity? And he said no. And it's just like this unnecessary, like, am I conscious that there are people who have stereotypes about blacks, Filipinos, Asian? I'm Asian and black. There's people who have stereotypes about Asians also. So I understand the whole mixed mentality. I get it from multiple areas. I grew up in a situation where for some I wasn't black enough. For others, I definitely wasn't Asian enough. You know what I'm saying? I'm 50-50 of both. But I don't carry my race on my shoulder and say I'm doing my actions because of my race. I think that's a fallacy.
Kelvin, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
I just want, like, when you said you can change that person's opinion. If that person doesn't have the mental capacity to recognize me as just this individual and not a person of all, the savior of all black people, like, you really trying to sway or convince or you give a fuck enough about their opinion? Like, I don't care.
So and I like that. That's a good point, right? So let me say this, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be me, right? But when we talking about the opinion, because I know that maybe their opinion of me may affect the semen that they're not even fucking with. You know what I'm saying? Again, is this a burden that I'm taking on? Let me go back, because it was a very good point. The first thing, and I have always said that my biggest priority is to represent my mother, right? Who is a hard worker, who I refuse to fail, because that's not the person who created, right? But I'm never going to lose fact of the point that I am a black male, and I'm never going to lose fact of the point that, hey, I may be the closest that some of the people that I deal with deal with black men. And let me not even make this a black person, right? So I'm never going to lose fact. Now, again, I'm not going to lose who I am. I'm still, like I said, and I've said this multiple times, I'm still a dude from the hood in Cincinnati, and that's never going to change. But I want to make that very regular. That is something that is big to me, to make that very regular. That, hey, a black person from the hood in Cincinnati is dealing with the same things you're dealing, has the same dreams that you have, has the same ambitions that you have, has the same concerns that you have.
Would you agree?
That is something that I'm thinking about. Go ahead.
I just had a question for you, Calvin. Would you agree?
Yes, please.
Calvin, excuse me. Would you agree that with what Nick said, that those individuals who have preconceived ideas of who you are and those mentalities that you perform your actions based off of to combat, the issue isn't you, it's them?
And I agree. Listen. At the end of the day, I'm not going to win everybody. And listen. At the end of the day, because just like you said, if somebody comes in with a preconceived notion that, hey, I don't fuck with black people, I am sure I display enough attributes that you can say, and that's why I don't fuck with black people, right? I'm still going to sag my pants. I'm still going to wear Jordans. I'm still going to have the hat on with earrings, because that's me. But what I want to do is I want to normalize that. So when Seaman Jackson or Seaman Williams comes in with that same way, now you've dealt with that. Now you've seen that both in a professional level, and you've seen that in a maybe unprofessional level where, hey, listen, I can still go somewhere and I can still have a good time, and I'm still a human, because at the end of the day, and I think this goes back to what Josh says, I think what a lot of people, there's a lot of things that separate us, but again, I still believe there's more things that in which we're alike. And a lot of the prejudice that exists is just due to exposure. You haven't been exposed to a black man who's going through life the same way you are, who has the same concerns and ambitions and goals that you do, or a woman, or a Filipino, or an Asian, or whatever. Because at the end of the day, I think there's still more that makes us alike, right? Most of us in the Navy we're just trying to make it. By and large, people in the Navy are good people who maybe didn't come from a situation where they had a silver spoon, who are trying to make it.
I hear you, and I'm sorry, real quick, but like those people with
Go ahead.
those preconceived notions that Nick is talking about and everything, once they see how you're doing and what you're doing, they're gonna hit you in their mind, and some even say it out loud. Oh, you're one of the good ones. And when you hear that statement, you're like, oh, I'm not about to change this person's mind of how they see everybody, but they see me as oh, you're different than them. So I'm gonna have that faith in you, but like the other people, I'm still looking at them kind of sideways and sketchy. Because I've heard that here, like, oh, you're one of, not here where I work now, but I've heard it before in the Navy, like, oh, you're one of the good ones. I'm like, God damn, really?
Tanya, go ahead,
So
Tanya.
I think people are confusing, and I might be wrong, Kelvin, but y'all making it seem as if he's spending all his time trying to be this person to change people's mind or whatever. Like, you know, this burden or whatever. No, I think with him, I agree with what he's saying. Yeah, and I want to address something that you said too, is when he said you could change somebody's mind, and he's right. Just like you don't feel the same way, or you or whoever, about all white people, right? But or any other race, but you go in there, you're like, something must have happened. Something happened in your life that you don't like this race for some reason. Am I wrong or am I right?
Sometimes in certain places of the country, they have no reason. It's just generational, and they have no fucking idea.
Correct. So
fucking
I don't
retards.
Right. But I don't think that he's purposely, like, his whole goal is to change these people and try to act a certain way. No, I don't think he's trying to do that. But I agree that what he says, that you can't change somebody's perspective. I don't think he's purposely trying to do that. You know, he's just, okay, well, not all black people are the same. Not all Hispanics are the same. Not all white people are the same.
Let me say, I commend his mentality. Kelvin, me personally speaking, I commend your mentality. I don't think that as far as the way that you feel, that because you're in an elevated position within, you know, the command you're in or your organization, that you feel like, you know what, let me make sure that, you know, people aren't, you know, judging my actions and holding it in a negative context against all people, but they haven't experienced me before, or at least my ethnicity before. Right. I respect it. I don't want to come off as though, you know, I understand the mentality. My only thing is, in today's society, we're in 2021, we're connected by internet. Like, we literally have access to the world at our fingertips. I'm holding a smartphone in my hand right now. Android. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for the mentality that, I love Android. My camera's is better. But anyway, the mentality that, you know, in today's society, you have to carry that. I say carry that burden because he's repeatedly said he's conscious that the things that he does. And I think I get it.
Whether you like it or not, you do. Whether I like it or not, I do.
So I can say it's not about me like or not. It's my indifference to it. I'm indifferent to the way you feel.
Yes.
I don't care. That's a flaw with you. That's your
saying,
no. But hear me out. Let me finish this. Let me finish this.
Go ahead.
I don't care that you have a preconceived condition about ethnicities, genders, sexuality, whatever. That's your issue. All I can do is be me.
Right.
Point blank. Period.
Yeah.
That's why I continue to say this. You know, maybe burden isn't the right word, but like, do I have to be again?
So conscious.
I am not conscious of me as a black. My actions represent black individuals, because black individuals, as a black man, we're so diverse. We're not put in a box. I heard somebody say something about a hat and earrings. I heard somebody say about, like, you can't put us in a box. There's individuals who only listen to, only watch animation, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
because I don't have my ears pierced.
Exactly. You can't put us in a box. So this idea that, like, okay, black people talk like this, you know, they speak a certain way, they act a certain way, they walk a certain way. Like, if you can't recognize the diversity within black people, that's a flaw in you.
Right, and I agree. Okay, I wouldn't say whether you like it or not, whether you think so or not. You do represent the black and Asian.
I think you're missing my point.
No.
I'm not denying the fact that someone could look at me.
You saying you don't give a fuck.
I'm saying I don't care.
And I don't give.
That's on you. That's a character flaw with
you.
you.
Now, Kelvin.
It doesn't change my stride. I walk the same way, whether you perceive me a certain way or not.
I have to ask Kelvin a question though.
Hold on.
And I totally Go ahead. And I totally agree with that, because I give two shits about what people think about me too. But I am proud of my ethnicity. I'm proud to be a Latina. You know what I'm saying? I know what my family did and where they came from. So that's different. But that doesn't mean I'm trying to prove myself to somebody.
But
So
can
when
I put
say,
you in a box of
hold on
who
one
you
second.
are as a Latina?
Hold on one second. You can do whatever you
Go ahead,
want,
go
and
ahead.
anybody else can.
all right.
I'm not gonna try to prove you wrong or right. And so when
Exactly.
I say
CJ,
but
one
when I
at a
say
time.
when I walk into a room, and I see, because there's initially that's something that I probably could share with them. I'm not saying that I'm counting the rest of them out. I'm not fuck the white bitches and fuck. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's my initial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Latina, I see another Latina, and we come together. That's it. That does.
Mark.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I agree, with that. I think you just have to be yourself and say, forget what everybody else is thinking, right? But then at the same time, it's important for us to acknowledge that, there's a saying, the higher in rank you go, the more clearer the glass house is that you live in, right? Because it's like everybody's watching your every move. It's important for us to just know that, we represent more than what, than just our last name and who we are, right? But I'm not saying that's just the way you have to live, but it's important to know that. Like for me, like when I go to work, like I'm, professional, but then when you see me out in town, you're going to see me, just like what you say, with a fitted earrings. You might see me on the basketball court rocking some Jordans, you know what I'm saying? But, and I think what that does, it kind of paves the way for these young sailors, right, that are coming up from the same place where we came from, and they get a chance to see that, like, oh, you know what? I could still be me, but at the same time, I could still be professional, just like how he did it, or just like how she did it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the point that's trying to be made, is that you just got to be able to acknowledge it, and not be blind to the fact that you do represent more, than. And I'm not saying y'all don't get that. I think all of us in here are smart enough, and we all get it.
You know what I think?
But yeah,
I think
that's what I think.
Kelvin.
Can I? Because I think a question was asked to me.
Yeah, I got a question.
So
I haven't asked the question to you yet.
Oh, go ahead.
So, subconsciously or blatantly, do you hold the black sailors that work for you? Do you hold them to a higher standard? And if you do you think that that's fair? Based off the merit and the weight you carry for yourself, I'm sure it bleeds into the black sailors that work for you. So, you go ahead.
So let me go, because there's a couple points first I want to make. The first thing is simply this. I understand the point of I should not care, but I also believe, and again, this isn't about elevated position or I believe I'm better than, but I believe it's about exposure. And what I hope, or what I intend to do, is show somebody that, hey, just because I am black, and just because I don't give a fuck about, it's not necessarily for me. I'm going to put on CWO4 and I'm retired, right? But I'm hoping that the exposure that somebody who may not have exposure to a black, the same way, and again, we can talk about this in terms of any minority group, hopefully I can expose them to something that makes them say that, hey, the seaman that also works for me, hey, he may be, or let me forget the stigma. Now, your question about, do I hold blacks to a different standard? I think so. There's two aspects. One, first and foremost, I think I purposely, and again, we can call this negative. Do I seek out young black people that I know that may be dealing with, or at least caught up in, what they perceive as racism in our organization? Yes. Do I hold my sailors to a different standard based on race? I don't believe so. And I hope that my sailors would say the same. I don't know that. And honestly, that's a really good question. But do I seek out young black men and women that I know that may be holding this grudge to the Navy and try to show them how to win in this game? Because at the end of the day, a lot of when we talk about, and the reason, the point of senior Navy leadership, no minority, and again, I mean that in any aspects, no minority CNOs, no minority or very few minority MCPONs, very few minority flag officers, very few minority captains, is because one of the attributes, whether we choose to or not, one of the attributes we choose or that comes into play in mentorship a lot of times is race. That's why sometimes minorities don't receive the same mentorship as maybe some of these other races because I have seen white leaders who have only mentored white people, and that's never been questioned. And I have seen minority leaders, again, and we could take this to women, we could take this to black, we could take this to any race, who have only mentored that group, and that has come into question, right? So now you have minorities who are afraid to mentor only that group. So I have seen sometimes there are great sailors who don't receive the mentorship that they deserve. So has that been something that I've sought out? Yes, absolutely. And then do I hold them to a high standard? Absolutely. But have I also mentored white men? Absolutely.
Okay. Let me say this. I'm not gonna say names or anything, but they're okay. 19 years in the Navy. I'm a senior chief, right? Worst sailor I've ever had in the Navy was a white guy. This dirtbag refused to come to work on time, refused to bathe, this guy was just
one of them.
The biggest dirtbag I've ever had in the Navy. I don't understand why this individual can be a dirtbag but not carry the stigma for his entire race. You know what I'm saying? This is the mentality where I'm saying there's a level of racism in the idea of me carrying my actions for my whole race, period, as a whole anyway. You understand what I'm saying? But I'll go even further, and I'll say one last thing, and then I'll be done with this topic. But the other thing I wanted to say was being who you are as an individual in many cases is what pushes the bar further. I was a RDC. I've said it 100 times on this podcast, right? Through different conversations. I was at RTC when there was a HM1 who refused to cut her dreads, right?
That's what got it started.
Navy kicked her out. The month after they kicked her out, they changed the policy. She refused to conform. Even though I'm not going to debate right now whether that was right or wrong, but what I'm saying is not trying to fit the mold of what they say you should be is what moves us forward. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm not talking silly things like being to work on time. That's something that is a given. You know what? My number one thing I tell sailors, now the policy has changed, right? But I've had many, many sailors in my career, right? I used to talk to sailors and they'd be like, Chief, you don't understand. They against me. I'm like, what you mean? Tell me what happened, dog. They over there yelling at me, telling me I need to get a haircut. Bruh, you joined the military. You know what I'm saying? Man, he over there telling me I need to shave. Bruh, you joined the military. What did you think was going to happen? You know what I'm saying? That is a separate issue from, you know what? That guy's black, and I think that guy is going to be late to work every day because black people are lazy. That's an internal issue with that individual. And I don't understand why we don't see the racism in that. I don't understand why we feel like, I told you, the worst sailor I had was a white guy. And that guy has no stigma on him. Nobody looked at him and said, man, you know what? White people are lazy. But why do we feel like, you know what? Man, I'm representing my people. You know, like that's racist in itself. So that's my stance. That's my mentality. I know it's a lot more intricate than that. I know it's not that simple, but that's what I'm hearing throughout this conversation. You know what I'm saying? So that's what throws me off.
I agree with you. I see the racism in that. I don't know if anybody else doesn't, but I don't. So I don't think
you
that
said you do or you don't.
I do see the racism in that. Yeah, for sure. So I don't. But just like where there's a the stigma that you're talking about with white people, like yeah, I'm in the process of selecting viewing orders for a a billet at my command, and I'm looking at the names and I'm looking and looking at you know what they are, whatever. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was like, man, I don't want no crybaby white girl coming over here, and because the way I talk or the way I lead or whatever, that's a stigma.
So
Yeah, you wrong for that though.
you are.
I experienced.
So hold
I'm
on,
not trying
Mark.
to get fired in 2
Mark,
years that I
Mark.
got left.
So hold on,
because I
Mark.
got a
Mark,
you
you
know
had
what I'm
something to say? Mark, you had something?
No, I was just gonna say I agree with what you're saying. I mean, that's that's bad if people are thinking like that. All I'm saying is you just have to know and acknowledge that there's people out there that think like that. And I'm not saying that have to acknowledge that they're out there.
All right, so a couple things here, right? We got to start wrapping this up. 15 minutes on the clock. All right, and we got to end on positivity. Not that any of this was negative, but we got to end on a super high note, right? Couple things that I'm hearing, right? It is racism, right? When those people, and maybe Kim will get a word in here, right? When those people have those problems, right? It is racism problems, right? It is racist problems. Again, me over here in the corner, we don't have to answer those racist problems, though, right? You guys might disagree, but I don't. As a person of confusion, of multiple ethnicities, that like CJ had said that wasn't Mexican enough because I didn't speak Spanish. Wasn't sure if I was really white because I know words, okay, but wasn't white because of how I look, right? The name didn't match the fit, right? The skin now covered in tattoos, like it doesn't match anything, right? So I feel you, CJ, when you said that, right? Many times I have felt as a person of no ethnicity, why, as Nick said, I'm a straight up American. An American that steals from all cultures and implements into his family, Filipino now, right? And spreads diversity with his own genes, with his own family, and incorporates everything because that is the true American way, right? Is to take a little bit from everything, right or wrong, not appropriating, but respecting and implementing with respect through, family and stuff, right? So, we don't always have to answer the racist motherfucker. We can, but most of the time we don't get to answer him the way we want, right? Exactly. Yes. Okay. So that's one part, right? I forgot what the second part was, but Buffalo Trace, let's go. But it's been a great conversation. So right now, I just kind of want here's the second part I've been thinking about the whole time, right? And actually, it goes to what you were saying, Tanya. We as leaders in the mess, in the wardroom, prior in the mess, right? How do we provide a better answer to the minorities? Because I fuck with them, and I know they fuck with me, right? Because where I'm sitting in my office, it's a minority aisle. Mm-hmm. Right, Kim? You could look where we sit, and there's one side this and one side that, and that's a straight fucking fact. Facts. Okay. and I can, again, I said it, I can move between both, but on that back aisle, I there's more to be gained, right? Nikki was asking, do you hold them to a higher standard? I hold minorities to a higher standard because I know we're capable, right? Me, minority or not, because we're capable of a higher standard, right? Because we're capable, because we're capable of proving whatever stigmas that are out there, right? Without having to directly, like how, Kelvin has said, bear that cross of showing up on time or whatever. I don't need to tell them that because it's just part of the job, right, CJ? You show up on time. I don't need to say, hey, you need to show up on time because you're this or that ethnicity. I say, hey, you show up on time early because you're in this fucking Navy, and this is what we do. And, Nick, if you in supply, we shit on them all day anyways. That don't matter, right? Because supply already gonna do things better. Supply already got packages ready for the next JSOQ,
Facts.
right? Nah, it's not you, admin. We got admin nerds up in here. But you know what I mean? So that's how I vibe with them, and the standard, I say I hold them higher to a higher standard. I'm teaching them a higher standard, because where we come from isn't often that high of a standard. And I'm not saying I'm from the worst place. I think in the last conversation when I had CJ and Nick over here and we started talking about my upbringing and stuff, and we was talking about that, I think that gave a little preview to the standard that I was growing up and being raised in, right? I was not raised in a high standard, right, household. I was not raised in a silver spoon household, much like many of us here, right? So if I know that now, though, and I know what the standard is, because honestly, the Navy's taught us a new standard, right? And I've adapted, and I've implemented my own upbringings of the things I had that were good, right? And I can hold whoever works with me, minority or otherwise, to that new high standard, right? To the supply standard, as I tell them, right? Because I truly believe that supply has a different standard than much of the other communities, okay? And this is how we rock. This is what we do, right? And a lot of people, they don't understand that. Don't get me started there, AZCS. Okay. All right. I'll start shooting everywhere. Okay. All right. It's just what it is, right? Like it or love it, don't hate it, whatever. It don't matter, right? But a higher standard, a different standard. I don't care how you want to fucking tag it, okay? But there's a different standard that I try to instill in whoever's messing with me. I don't care, but especially the minorities, because I know and I'm cultured enough and I realize the struggles. So we're going to overcome any of those. We're going to shit on anyone that gets in the way, and we're going to move them out of the fucking way. And we're going to show them, like, yeah, look, that way, like we were talking about, right, as Kelvin has said, minorities are not in those positions. They're not in MCPON. They're not fleets. They're not forces. They're not all this and that. I don't know if any of my sailors are ever going to become that, but I know one thing they will become. They'll become a fucking chief as long as they keep rocking with me and listening to what I tell them to do. Or they'll become an LDO, right? So no matter what, they get in khakis. And when they're there in that position, as long as they listen to what I've said and they take it on, when they get there, they'll be the representation that some at this table are and were looking for when they were the junior sailor, right? Because as Kelvin said, like, up in the wardroom, there ain't much representation, right? Mark, how much representation is there? You know what I mean? I guarantee you,
not much.
Now, I'm going to make sailors that are going to be the representation in those areas, hands down. And then, like we said earlier, in the mess, there's a lot more representation, right? But that's why I got 2 CS1s putting in LDO packages next year, so they could go represent that. They could be little baby suppos or something like Mark, right? But so right now, let's just take it around the table. We're gonna go. Mark, sorry you got in here late, bro, but we're gonna start with you. You got 2 minutes on the clock. Say whatever you want to say, brother.
No, I just want to say thanks a lot for having me on here. Sorry I was late. I got CDO duties today. But happy Veterans Day to everyone, and I just want to say I appreciate y'all. Keep doing what y'all are doing. A lot of information being put out. At the end of the day, we're here to show the future. What right looks like, and we just got to continue to keep doing that and show them that diversity is good and professionalism is good, and I think a lot of good information here on this podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mark. Kelvin, 2 minutes, Kelvin.
Hey.
Show long-winded ass.
Oh man, you know I'm about to go. Hey, so first of all, this was a real conversation, and I think we need to have these, right? I think we shy away from these in the military, having real conversations about diversity, right? We do the little brush over, but we need to have real conversations. I appreciate everybody who was on the panel, because I'm going to tell you, absolutely, I learned something, right? I know in this podcast, it seemed that me and CJ went back and forth, but I would tell you, absolutely, I learned something from him. I appreciate him, and I appreciate everybody on the panel. I appreciate the opportunity to talk and learn from everybody in this group. I'm drunk now, so I'm going to go. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. Love you all. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Call an Uber or Lyft or whatever. That's all I got.
Thank you, Kelvin. CJ.
Not a lot to add. Based off of what everybody said. Happy
Valentine's.
Veterans Day.
Veterans.
Yeah, I might need that Uber. But at the end of the day, always a pleasure to join you, Josh, on your podcast. I think that you're doing great things, man. It's always fun, man, coming in here, having good conversations. Kelvin, thank you so much for your input, bro. I know. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Hey, honestly, man, I respect your mentality 100%. I think that ultimately, I think we kind of see eye to eye, but I think that we go about it in slightly different ways, but still, ultimately, our goal is the same. And all the respect to you, brother. Definitely respect your mindset and your mentality. That's without question. So, best to everybody here, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, CJ. Kim, you're still here.
I'm still here. Yeah.
You get 3 minutes.
3 minutes. I'm not going to use like one maybe. Happy Veterans Day, one. I really enjoyed being here, so thanks for inviting me, Josh. It was really eye-opening listening to everyone's firsthand stories. I don't have much to add because I've been in 9 years. Still checking it out. No big deal. That's it, really.
Oh.
I hope we continue this conversation. It's a big one for sure.
Okay. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it.
I'm here for it.
Tanya.
So this podcast definitely exceeded my expectations, but it was fun. I appreciate the invite. Yeah, since we're talking about expectations.
I didn't know the expectations were so low.
No, not at all. And it was a good conversation. Kelvin, it was nice to meet you. Mark as well. And invite me to the next one, man. But without CJ and Nick.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
Wow. Charlie, what up, bro?
Oh, what up? Thanks for the invite. It was great to see everybody and hear all these different voices. And you got to just think about that. We are the representation that our junior sailors are looking at. So it's a goal for them to see where we're at to get to. Like when I joined, like my first chief was black and my first admin officer was black. And I was like, oh, okay, there's something I can reach to. So just remember that somebody's always looking at you no matter what, no matter how we go about it in our own way. Somebody's saying, okay, that's a path that I could take if I want to get there.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Nick.
Best for last.
I was kidding.
You had your 2 minutes. Hey, mute her mic, Josh.
I don't know which one it is.
But what I was gonna say is, like everybody said, I respect everybody's opinions, both professional and personal in their stories. I learned something from everybody. Thank you for having me as always. I love coming here. You know I rock with you. Not because we relate to
Caramel?
anything, but just because, you know what I'm saying, you my guy.
Appreciate it.
Mark, it was nice meeting you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, as well as you, Kelvin. Last thing, I don't have earrings, and I'm not wearing Jordans. I'm wearing Bo Jackson's, Bo knows. Go Buckeyes.
Yeah, that would be an edit. Hey, again, as I always say at the end of it, right? Hey, I thank everyone for showing up and keeping my dream alive another week at a time, right? So I appreciate you all, Mark, Kelvin, everyone here at the table. I hope you guys had a good time. All the listeners, hey, this is up on YouTube. Go leave a comment, check it out. Let me know what you think. Join the discussion, right? We on Facebook, all that good stuff. And, don't forget, for more information on how you can support the podcast, please visit anchor.fm/Bravo Zulu Podcast. The information, views, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely of me, Joshua Moore, and the individuals involved, and do not necessarily represent the DOD, DON, or those of the respected institutions or organizations. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, this needs a part 2.
Hey, thanks, everyone. I appreciate it so much. 2 hours, not bad. I think I could go get some rubby still. So again, seriously, everyone here at the table on the Zoom call, right? Mark and Kelvin, I appreciate it so much. It was a great conversation. Mark, really wish you would have been here in the beginning because we was definitely talking a lot more mafioso stuff, right? And experiences with that. But as always,
It just got sensitive.
huh?
My bad, man. I'm sorry.
No, you good, Mark. You good. You defending the country and shit. Whatever. Yo, as always, right, it's an open invitation here on the Bravo Zulu podcast. If you ever have any topic or discussion that you feel that the general public or military should hear about, hit me up, come through. We'll be in the studio. We'll pour a drink. We'll get on Zoom, whatever, and we'll make it happen. CJ, Nick, Charlie, this is your first time on the real one, right? We did a couple that were lost. Yeah, we're going to get back on before you leave, though, bro. Tanya and Kim, appreciate it. Thank you all. This is being recorded.